Have you ever tweaked some text in a button only for everything to break? You have to manually resize the background, reposition the icon, fix the spacing. It's tedious. Auto layout fixes this forever. It's the feature that makes your designs responsive, flexible, and genuinely smart. Let me show you how it works. So in front of us, we have a frame. Let's round the corners to get a button. So go over here if you remember. 8 sounds about right. There we go. We have something that looks like a button. Let's enter text. Click to sign up for our news. Recognize that problem? The text overflows. The fix to that is auto layout. Auto layout is a property you add to any frame. It tells Figma, these items inside you, they belong together. Keep them organized. If one changes size, adjust everything else automatically. There are a few ways to add auto layout. Once auto layout is applied, the frame gains superpowers. It can grow or shrink its content. It can distribute items evenly. It can wrap onto new lines. And it does all of this instantly when you edit text, swap components, or resize elements. Let's see it in action. With the red button we have, if I select the frame and press Shift A, that's the shortcut to add auto layout. That's the same on both Mac and PC. After doing that, Figma organizes the items into a parent and child relationship in the layers panel on the left. As you can see, the items snap into either a horizontal row or a vertical stack with consistent spacing. Now let's create another frame here on the right. Select a frame, iPhone 17, put a rectangle. Yes, use an ellipse over here. Another rectangle to enter text. Let's write. It's my spelling on. Let's write some text. That over here, just to show you what auto layout does. Move that closer to the edge. So if I select on the frame, use Shift A. There you go. You can see what auto layout has done. It's organized it and spaced it proportionately. There's also a third way to add auto layout, which is the suggested auto layout. By pressing Shift Control A on a Mac, and for Windows it's Control Alt Shift plus A. Suggested auto layout is when there are multiple groups of items in a frame and you want Figma to do its best to organize all of them in an auto layout. Trust me, it can get very messy doing them one by one or not doing them in order when you've got multiple items in a frame. Let's give the example we have here on the right a go. Go and find our example. There we go. So we have a card here. So I'll select the frame, Shift, Control A, and voila. Figma has applied the suggested auto layout. And you can see here in the layers panel, it's created a series of nested auto layouts to this parent auto layout. So if I just, so you can see there, when I expand the frame, everything is moving in proportion. If I also remove the auto layout, just right click there, remove auto layout, you can see the shortcut there, that's on Mac. And then remove all of it. remove all auto layout. That's removed. As you can see, look, when I expand it, it's not moving in proportion. So there you go. That is how you apply auto layout. Next up, direction. With auto layout, Figma controls how child elements inside a frame arrange themselves dynamically. The flow directions are horizontal, vertical, grid, and wrap layouts, which automatically adjust spacing, wrapping, and sizing as content changes. Let's first take a look at horizontal. As you can see, I've created a frame here with circles inside it as the child elements. So if I select the frame, apply auto layout, Shift A, we've got auto layout applied. I'll go to the last child element and duplicate it. As you can see, the frame grew and it grew at equal distance. If I do another one, again, it grew at equal distance. That's because auto layout is applied. Now, using a horizontal auto layout is really good for navigation elements on a website. Now let's take a look at vertical. So as you can see, we've got elements aligned in the vertical direction, which is the y-axis, if you remember your maths. Let's apply auto layout. This time, let's select it on the panel. I'll go to the last child element and select duplicate. As you can see again, because auto layout is applied, Figma can adjust the next child element with an equal distance. And you can see all of them are equal distance. Apply another duplicate, and again, the child element is replicated in an equal distance to the last one. Now let's look at grids. Vertical elements, are really good for mobile layouts. So for example, this could have been a picture frame for a testimonial panel with images of people. And if you wanted them to align vertically, you could apply the vertical auto layout. Let's look at grid. Let's use the shortcut again. Shift A. Auto layout applied. You can tell auto layout is applied when you see these spacings here. So you've got padding and the gap here. Let's go to the last element. Duplicate that. Sorry, I forgot to apply the grid. So we've got auto layout applied. What you need to do is select grid. That puts it in the grid format. So if I go to the last child element, duplicate, as you can see, Figma arranges the elements in rows and columns equal distance apart. So if I press duplicate again, it automatically places it in the spaces assigned for it to be a grid. Now grids again are really good for bento boxes if you want to design those, or again it could have been a testimonial component where you have avatars of people who are making testimonials. Yeah. Let's go to wrap now. Let's use the auto layout button in the panel and then select wrap here. This is the wrap. As you can see, you've got a text bubble that comes up. Wrap's applied. Let's duplicate the last child element. Let's duplicate again. You might not see anything, but if you select the frame and then resize it, so if I just do that, there you can see the frame has been wrapped because auto layout wrap is applied. And this is very typical behavior of a responsive website. So if you had a panel or component inside a frame that had auto layout applied, you can apply auto layout to that component, and as the frame resized, the elements in that component would resize. So there you go, that's auto layout directions. So just to go over that again, you've got horizontal, vertical, grid, and wrap. They're excellent choices to have your elements inside a frame organized. And also, if you were to have loads of elements inside a frame, you could go back and apply suggested auto layout. That's what suggested auto layout is really good for. But if you wanted to auto layout on individual elements within inside the frame and you wanted more control over that, this is where you can use the flow directions in auto layouts. Let's now talk about spacing and padding. Spacing between items is controlled by the gap value. Here are the methods you can use to control this with. Hover the number and scrub left or right to adjust it live. This is your margin between siblings. Let's bring that back down to 60. Adjust spacing on the canvas by dragging or clicking on the spacing UI. So just to the red bits, we can adjust that. 60. Now for horizontal. See the spacing moves. Bring it back to 60. Spacing values can be both positive and negative. Negative spacing will result in overlapping. So let's look at this. To negative. Get that really nice effect. So sometimes you might want to have, again, testimonials overlapping. Scroll around, bring that to 60. You can also enter the number as well by clicking in the box and entering the number you want. Another point to mention is that gap spacing for auto layout frames can be either fixed or auto. Auto will distribute space evenly. The default space mode is fixed. You can switch between fixed and auto by clicking the alignment grid in the auto layout panel and pressing X, or by double clicking the alignment grid. So I just click on the frame, go to the alignment panel, click and press X. You can see it's auto. So if I hovered over it, it's auto. If I go back and click it and press X, hover over again, now you can see that the spacing's gone back to fixed. Moving on to padding now. Padding is a space inside the frame's edges. You can set it equally with one number or unlink them to set different values for each side. Good padding makes your designs feel polished and touch-friendly. Let's look at the different ways you can do this. Adjust the padding surrounding nested items by clicking or dragging on the canvas padding UI to increase or decrease the padding. So there you go, the padding's highlighted. So I just on those blue handles, adjusting the padding there. Other side, back to 16. Bring that back to 16. And the top and bottom. As you can see, it's adjusting. We can set the values manually in the auto layout panel as well. So if I click on the top, so we go over here, we've got padding. So this is for left and right, as you can see. I do use a scrubber. It's doing both of them. Top one, I can just click inside and change it to 20. Bring it back to 16. You can also do both sides independently. I'll just press a comma there and do the other one at 80. You can see it adjusted. For top and bottom, press a comma. I'll do the other one a lot bigger. As you can see, the padding is different on the top and the bottom. The bottom one is 32 as we entered it here. To adjust the padding on opposing sides, hold the Option or Alt key on Windows when dragging or clicking. let's go left and right, option. You can see adjusting the padding on opposing sides. Hold Shift plus Option or Alt keys on Windows when dragging or clicking to adjust all padding sides. So I'll go back here, Shift plus Option. As you can see, the padding is being adjusted on all sides. Padding and spacing is used to make your designs look polished and neat. Making your designs easy on the eye for users is really important, and this is where alignment comes in, to allow you to create white space or group elements together to show a relationship. You can control how items align within the auto layout frame. Align them to the start, center, or end both the primary and counter axes. As you can see here, go to the alignment, it starts off in the top left corner. We can put them in the middle, on the opposite axis, in the right top hand corner, in the center, left to center, bottom corner, bottom left hand corner, and so forth. This is how to center text perfectly inside a button or pin a label to the top of a left card. So if you look at this button, it's got auto layout in it. Let's imagine it became a big button. Let's stretch that out. So now I want to align the text to the top. Go to alignment, up, maybe at the bottom. But normally you align the text of a button in the middle. So let's go back to a, oops, not rotate it. It's like a normal size button. By default, items are packed together, but switch to space between and they distribute evenly, filling the entire width or height. This is brilliant for nav bars and card headers with a title on one side and an action on the other. So we're going back to our example of the circles in this frame. So at the moment they're like that, we can distribute them evenly if we just double click. As you can see, they distribute evenly across the top. Go back to the middle, and look at the bottom, they distribute evenly. To go back to the packed position, just double click back there. So there you have it. That is alignment and distribution, and how they play an important role in auto layout frames. Now let's talk about resizing. This is where auto layout truly shines. There are two main options when it comes to resizing: hug and fill. Hug primarily applies to the parent item, usually the frame, and fill applies to the child, i.e. what's inside the frame. Let's see this in action. So we have a frame here. As you can see, we have items inside, but the frame borders, if you like, you want to call it that, is spread wide apart from the items inside, the child items. And if I keep on stretching it, you can see the child items stay as they are, but the frame just expands. Expand that again. But if I go over to the auto layout options here, down to the dimensions, as we've seen before, and on the width, select the drop down and select hug. As you can see, the width hugged to the items inside the frame, the parent item. If I go to height, select hug, as you can see, it hugged the nested items inside. So now the frame around is hugging what's inside, and it's bounded by the padding, as you can see. And obviously we can change the padding as we've seen in the lesson. Now let's look at fill. So the fill applies to the child items inside the frame. So if I select that, I press fill, as you can see, it stretches. Select this. It stretches. What fill means, it stretches according to the width of the frame. So if I go over here and select fill container, now if I get the frame and stretch it, as you can see, the frame stretches according to the size of the child element. This one doesn't have fill applied to stretch. As you can see, it's stretched, but the frame, the parent frame, or the parent item is not stretching. So if I go over here and on this, fill height, I've stretched the frame. As you can see, it's stretching accordingly. So hug applies to the outer body, the outer frame, and fill applies to the child elements. Now there's other things to talk about like min height and max height and constraints. So min height is, for example, if you go to the parent frame and we go over to height and we select the drop down menu, we can add a minimum height. So what that means is that the frame will not go shorter than a number that you define. So we can define a number over here like 400. Press enter. So go to the frame. See, I'm trying to make it smaller than 400, but it won't go because we set the minimum height to 400. And the same applies if you set it to max. So there you go. In a nutshell, we've talked about resizing and the main options: hug and fill, minimum height, minimum width, and max width. Nesting, as the name suggests, allows us to place elements inside an auto layout frame and fit within the flow of the layout. Let's see how this works. So we have our frame here again, but this time we have a rectangle that is outside the frame and we want to nest it inside this frame so it flows. So I'll click on the frame. Now this is different for Windows and Mac. So if you're on a Mac, you press the Command key, and if you're on Windows, you could press the Control key. So I'll simply hold the frame, start moving it towards the auto layout frame, and hold down on the Command key on Mac. Now, as you can see, there's a cursor that has appeared that's showing us down. So it's telling us to move it down. And as you can see, there's a line that's appeared within the frame. It's telling us that it should place it there. Just drag it and drop it, and it's placed it there. So it's fit within the flow of the frame. Now, if I just extend this frame, there you go, you can see the element that was there before. And just as a reminder, the frame is set to vertical auto layout, as you can see there, and it's set to packed. So I can stretch the frame out here. These two items are set to fill. That's why they're stretching as I'm stretching the frame. And this one isn't. So let's just apply fill to that one on the width. There you go. Stretching there. So that's how you nest items from outside your auto layout frame into the auto layout frame. And it's amazing for organizing your windows, your mobile app screens. And this is the real power of auto layout, because when you organize frames into a design layout for example, a website or mobile screen, you want them to behave like this. You want them to respond to the flow that you've already created. Because there's times when you set up a frame, you've got an image, you've got a text box, you may have a button, but you want to include something else. And you don't want to go through the whole process of doing auto layout again on every item. So Figma gives you that power of bringing in something outside the frame into the frame and nesting it and taking on the properties of the frame that have already been set by your auto layout settings. Now let's bring everything together by creating a card. So this is going to be a selection card. So let's start off with a frame. Go for something like 400 by 600. Go. Here's 346. Let's change it to 400. Just bring that up here. Rename it to card. Now we want some sort of image at the top. So we'll create a rectangle. Go for something like 340, 330 by 200. So we'll just make it exact here. We can apply auto layout on it. Actually, let's put in some text first. So choose your options. Not exactly aligned. So now we can put auto layout. Shift A. As you can see, that's in auto layout, and we've put it going vertically as we want. We've got padding of 33 and 28. Let's change the side padding to 24. 8 grid system. Padding at the top is 28. We could change that to 32. Now we want a yes and no button. So we'll create another rectangle. Let's go for, again, 330 by 100. Actually, 330 by 80 looks okay. Text there. And we'll just put yes. Roll that. And we want to create that into an auto layout. So we get the button and the text flowing with auto layout. So I'll shift A. Now we want to nest that. So I'll just grab it. We'll hold the Apple key. Follow there. It's nested. So we'll create duplicate. Or just adjust the text here. No. So there we have a basis of our pod. As you can see, the auto layout is going vertically. It's stacked. It's aligned to the top, sorry. We've got a gap here. Is 42 in between the elements. As you can see, you can change that, but I think it looks fine. We've got a padding at 24 and the padding at the side is 24, sorry. And the paddings at the top as 32. So that could be an image here. Choose your options, yes and no. So there you go. That's the basis of a COD and how you'd bring all your auto layout skills that we learned together to make a impactful design elements. Auto layout is like your desk setup. If you move the keyboard, you want the mouse to position accordingly, not just get kicked out the way by the keyboard. In 2026, auto layout includes a mature wrap feature. Enable it, and items in a horizontal layout will flow onto new rows when you run out of space. Resize the frame, and the items reflow. This is perfect for creating tag clouds, photo grids, and responsive card layouts without writing a single media query. Pro tip: auto layout plays beautifully with components. Build a button component with auto layout, and every instance adapts to its label. Build a card component, and every instance grows with its content. Your entire design system becomes responsive by default. If you remember one thing, frames hold your content. Auto layout governs how the content behaves. Master these two, and you're designing systems, not just screens. Auto layout takes practice, but once it clicks, you'll never go back. Hit like if this helped, subscribe for more, and even send a link to your auto layout designs. I'll see you in the next one.